very good morning. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now with me, Mubina Kapasi. I think before we kickstart Market Fatafat, which as you guys know is all about flagging off those individual movers and shakers, let's take a look at what the markets are up to as we speak. We have given off those gains, and I just want to pull up this chart of the Nifty and the Sensex on an intraday basis. As you can see, we've sharply fallen just in the last couple of minutes, and those gains that we were seeing, very minor gains, have been absolutely obliterated. So now we've flattened out completely, and we are slightly in the red for the Nifty as well as the Sensex. Interestingly, the mid and the small cap index as well, which by the way have come off the day's high, are still in the green, however, but there too the quantum of the gains have now come off a tad bit. So the small cap index is just about gaining 0.4%. What's responsible for this fall that we've seen in the last couple of minutes? It's mostly the metal space, because I can see Hindalco, Tata Steel, Vedanta, all of them losing. Even an Infosys is losing, and we also do have a couple of PSUs. Interestingly, BPCL is the one that is losing, along with an ONGC. These, I think, primarily have seen quite a fall, as you can see on your screens, in the last couple of minutes of trade. Even a Yes Bank and SBI from the banking space, along with an ICICI Bank, have fallen quite a bit, and I think that's responsible for the Nifty 50 as well, slipping below the 12,250 mark. But what's resilient is Airtel. Bharti Airtel is still gaining approximately 1.2%. We're going to flag off the reason why in the due course of the next 30 minutes during Market Fatafat. Some of the technology stocks as well, like Tech Mahindra, Wipro, and even an HCL Tech, are resilient. And then, of course, autos, which has seen a great rally in the last week as well. So you have Tata Motors, Eicher Motors, M&M, all gaining anywhere between 0.7 and 1.2%. So not bad at all for these stocks. And that's what we're going to do over the course of the next 20 odd minutes as well on Market Fatafat. Highlight all of these individual movers and shakers, find out what's the reason why they're buzzing, and of course we're going to be joined by our technical guest as well to indicate if there's any sort of a trading opportunity that any of these stocks or indices throw up. So to do that, we have with us today from our research team, Varun as well as Soumya, and Sameet Chauhan, Chief Analyst for Technical and Derivatives of Angel Broking as well, will be joining us in just moments from now. So let me start off first with the PSBs, or the PSU banking space. Now on Saturday, we had the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman conducting a meeting with the chiefs of the various public sector banks. And interestingly, she also included the CBI Director in this meeting. The key criteria, the key agenda rather, of this meeting was to eliminate any sort of fear psychosis that may be lingering among the banking chiefs. Because do remember that in the past they have been accused, that they have been victimized for not making prudent commercial decisions, for lending to certain companies and to certain unreputed managements. And that in turn has caused CBI investigations, CBC investigations, and the PSB chiefs have been victimized. So essentially what the finance minister has done is brought the two together and sort of assuaged any sort of fears that the PSB chiefs may be having, so that they as well can go out and lend more. We had an ICRA report that said that in this year, credit growth is expected to fall to a multi-year low. Though mind you, of course, the reason for this is not just the fact that PSBs don't want to lend, but it's also because of the entire growth slowdown. That's a key reason. Now, whether or not something like this would, push PSB chiefs to lend more is something that only time will tell. But there's been no reaction of sorts to these PSBs. They're all down in trade. In fact, the Nifty PSU banking index is the top sectoral loser, losing in excess of 1%. SBI and even these mid-tier PSBs are all among the top losers. A Union Bank, UCO Bank, all of them are losing significantly. As you can see, in the last couple of minutes, we've seen the PSU banking index fall sharply. It's at the day's low, 1.6% gone. Okay, moving on from banking to the logistics space, Soumya, what exactly is the transaction that has taken place between Adani and Gateway?
Well, Mubina, on back of this acquisition, we have Adani Ports, Snowman Logistics and of course Gateway Distriparks in focus after Adani Logistics, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Adani Ports, is acquiring entire stake from Gateway Distriparks of around 40.25% in Snowman Logistics for an approximate value of 296 crore rupees. Talking about this one, although this is a very small deal for as far as Adani Ports is concerned, but nevertheless it marks their entry into the cold chain logistics business, which is definitely going to be a new expansion project for Adani. Not just this, talking about Gateway, it's actually a good buzzer for today, gaining close to about 7 to 8% on the fact that this proceeds from this deal would be used to actually deleverage their balance sheet and reduce the debt levels. So we're seeing some amount of reaction coming in all these three stocks, and they are in focus for the same reason.
That they are, look at Gateway Distriparks. I think that's the stock really that should be highlighted. 6.7% higher today in trade on the back of this deal. All right, moving on, Varun, let's talk about Bharti Airtel. What's the latest announcement from the company?
So just yesterday they announced a price hike. Now this is for the minimum recharge plan. This used to cost 23 rupees. As of now, effective immediately or December 29th, it costs 45 rupees. So it's nearly doubling. Now, while it seems that, this is a huge rate increase, it's really, there's some grey area, it's not so clear because there was a similar price hike announced for some other prepaid products earlier on in the month. We saw a price offshoot from 35 rupees to 49 rupees. So now this is a second price hike which has come effectively on the minimum recharge plan. It should definitely bolster, the counter to a certain extent. But if you look at the overall impact, there's also going to be some churn because some customers who don't want to pay this heightened tariff will just migrate to a different service. So net, Morgan Stanley's put out a note on this and they're flagging it off as neutral. However, let me be clear, they are the most bullish broker on the street as far as Airtel goes. And let's also remember, despite all the problems in telecom and AGR and all the dues that are set to be paid, Airtel is still making a 52-week or a lifetime high today. The promoter has recently crossed into the top 5 richest Indian promoters and he's like on the billionaires list as well. And the outlook over here is also significantly higher from here. They have a target of around 560 rupees based on the most recent reports. So you're looking at least 10 to 15% upside even from here in a time where the entire industry is going through a crippling effect. So that's kind of what you have to look out for as far as Airtel is concerned.
Okay, so that's the recommendation then coming in on a Bharti Airtel. Okay, Sameet as well joins us now on the show. Hi, Sameet, morning. There seems to be stopping the auto space. Last week was a great one for the auto sector. We did see nice rally come by. Maruti, a stock like that as well, managed to claw back about 7,400. And today as well, the rally continues. Tata Motors, M&M. So what's your recommendation on this one? Let's talk about an M&M. It's come off the day's high, but still in the green.
Good morning, Momina. See, as far as M&M is concerned, this has been one of the laggards within the auto space. It has not participated at all in the recent rally that most of the auto ancillary space has seen. We still believe that this stock is likely to consolidate, and if this stock has to gain any kind of strength, it needs to surpass 545, 550 on a sustainable basis. If that happens, then we can say this stock is poised for some kind of relief. As of now, we don't see any encouraging sign. We would rather wait for breakout to happen beyond 545 on a closing basis. On the low side, if you see 520, 510 has been acting as a very strong support. But as I just highlighted, stock need to surpass 545 on a closing basis.
Okay, so that's a technical recommendation coming in on M&M. Okay, moving on, let's talk about GNFC or Gujarat Narmada and Valley Fertilizers and Chemicals. On Friday, post-market hours, the company announced that it has to temporarily suspend the production of TDI at its Dahej plant. Now, it had announced one of these planned shutdowns, but what it's done is now it's advanced it. So it's actually shut down from the 27th of December itself all the way to 15th of Jan 2020. Now, GNFC said that the planned shutdown of this TDI2 plant, which is located at Dahej in Gujarat, was due to prevailing challenging external environment and market conditions of TDI. You can see the stock price has fallen almost about 1.4%. By the way, remember GNFC is also engaged in the manufacturing and selling of fertilizers such as urea, ammonia under the umbrella brand Narmada. Stock price falling 1.4% on the back of this production curtailment news announced. Clearly, the external environment is not so good even for companies like this one. Okay, but on the flip side, we do have a stock that's gaining, and that's PSP Projects. Soumya, what's the news here?
Well, this one's buzzing on back of order wins. They've emerged as the lowest bidder for a project in UP with a bid value of 340 crore rupees. And this is what's keeping the stock active in trade today. In fact, last week also we had this company winning order close to about 300 crore rupees. So this definitely throws some positive outlook as far as the order book momentum is concerned. And we're seeing this good reaction in the stock coming back on back of these order wins lately, which has been company seeing in the last few weeks.
The recommendation then on a stock like a PSP Projects, it's 3.3% of gain seen here. Tejas Networks, meantime, Varun, why are you highlighting this one for our viewers today?
So Tejas Networks is a really interesting company. It IPO'd at a valuation that is around 4x of where it stands today. So that's the value proposition here, and a lot of brokerages have also put out a note on it. Now, you know, in all the telco trouble, we always talk about Bharti Infratel as a proxy because we know they do handle the hardware side of things. So every time the telco stocks seem to move up or the competitive intensity intensifies, Bharti Infratel is able to leverage their infrastructure for better rates, and they tend to move upwards. Now, Tejas is a very interesting proxy in the same way because what they actually do is they do augmentation of towers. So if there's a cell phone tower or if there's, you know, a tower, let's say, that's owned by Infratel, they need external cabling and hardware on it to make it more efficient, to expand the reach, to sometimes increase the bandwidth of the tower due to a lot of users being added to the same network. Now, that's where Tejas comes in, and their technology is really provide towers with the additional capabilities. So every time telcos move up, we should also look at Tejas, not just Infratel, because it is also a trigger for them, because if there is competitive intensity between players and they are bargaining for rates with the tower guys have additional money to spend on augmenting this capacity, if you want to look at it that way. So the stock is pretty positively up today, and if you just look at the fact that both the telco stocks are also in the green, it's like a clear proxy, and that's why we're flagging it off today.
Yeah, it's 10% higher Tejas Networks today in trade, so definitely merits a mention on Market Fatafat. 88 rupees is where it's currently trading at. Another stock that's seeing very, very smart gains is SpiceJet. Samit, anything that you're observing, any technical trends that this is throwing up? Because we did see this sort of a move come by even sometime in last week.
Yes, in last couple of trading sessions, in fact, the stock has spiked up from lower levels of 90. If you see in last 3-4 months, stock has done nothing. It has been gradually declining, and around 90-95, where the stock has a very strong support, we saw some buying emerging. So in last couple of days, stock has seen massive spike from the levels of 90-95, and if you look at the overall volume activity, it has risen substantially. So that suggests that at around 90-95, the stock seems to be having strong demand, and from here on, it is likely to head northwards. Yes, it has come off a bit from today's high, but overall, if you see now 95-100 would act as a support, and from here on, stock would again retest 120 first, and beyond 120. If the stock managed to surpass, then 130-135 is our next levels to watch out for.
All right, so that's SpiceJet for you, 7% higher. Another stock that's worth flagging off is RITES. The board of directors of this mini Ratna, in a meeting held on Friday, declared an interim dividend that's of 6 rupees per share. That's almost a 60% rate at which they've announced their dividend. This is, of course, just an interim dividend. The management, that's Rajiv Mehrotra, has said that it has been able to execute across segments and simultaneously able to protect its margins as well in the first half of FY20. They've had a strong first half as well. The standalone revenue has gone up 70%. Profit after tax gone up by more than 70% on a year-on-year basis, and that in turn has enabled them not only to announce a healthy interim dividend, but also they've announced an investment of 48 crore rupees for acquiring a 24% stake in the Indian Railway Station Development Corporation Limited. It's being done at 10 rupees per share and essentially will provide RITES an opportunity of growth in the emerging field of development of railway stations. So it's going to be also buying a 24% stake in this company, that's IRDC Limited. The stock price, it did hit an intraday high of almost about 294 rupees, but now it's come off significantly from there and is just at 288. Nevertheless, still gaining approximately 1.1% despite that bit of weakness that has ebbed into the market, in the last couple of minutes. Okay, and stock number 10, Soumya, what's the news around Reliance Capital?
Well, IRDAI has actually restored Reliance Capital's 100% stake and shareholding in Reliance General Insurance. In fact, this insurance regulator has cancelled the pledges by Credit Suisse and Nippon India Mutual Fund, and in fact, this is all really positive note for Reliance Capital, given the fact they'll be able to monetize their stake in Reliance General Insurance and then would consequently go on reducing their debt levels, which is a very key and important aspect for the company. And on back of these developments, we're seeing a very good strong reaction coming in the stock. We're seeing the stock gaining close to about 4% on back of this development.
All right, that it has, it's 5% in fact higher for Reliance Capital. Okay, let's take a look at the RWI small case and see what that's up to at the current juncture. The markets are, of course, gaining. They've actually come off, from the day's high. So while they were gaining in the earlier part, now they're in the red. Is there any sort of a significant such movement seen in the RWI small case? Well, it's absolutely flat. It's just about 584. Just a bit of red seen on the screen for this one. And now what we'll do is we'll take a very short break right here on the show. Do come right back. Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET. Now let's continue with the countdown. And Varun, why is PVR on your radar today?
Right, Mubina. So basically, it's again a contrarian story in the current market, seeing that the economy is slowing and all consumption-linked businesses are slowing. We've seen volume growth also taper off in all consumption businesses. PVR seems to stand out as bucking the trend. Now, if you look at the stock today, it's literally touched its lifetime high. It's never been higher. And it's a very consumption-linked story. Like movie tickets, it's all discretionary spends. It's consumers who have additional money left over to spend. So it's quite interesting to note that the slowdown is, impervious over here. All the more we keep talking about how content is a challenge to the film business. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case as far as PVR is concerned. The content for H2 also looks really good. And based on the F&B sales, those also seem to be on a positive trajectory, also aiding profitability and margins. So we just find it quite interesting that given all the pessimism around the industry, you still see the leader making a lifetime high, and that's why we're flagging it off today.
All right, 1895 is where PVR is at. Like Varun said, it's a lifetime high for this one. Okay, Samit, we've been seeing a lot of, momentum in the FMCG names, Godrej, Nestle, Marico, etc. Today as well, a stock like Godrej Consumer is seeing a nice amount of traction. Anything that you have identified as a trading opportunity?
Still, it would be too early to take that call. Stock needs to see some kind of follow-up move and has to surpass 710, which has been acting as a very strong resistance since last couple of weeks. So we would wait for a breakout to happen beyond 710. If that happens, then yes, stock can head toward its recent high, which is placed in the zone of 740, 745. So as of now, stock is consolidating. On the higher side, 710 is a strong resistance. Low side, whenever the stock comes around 670, 660, some kind of buying tends to emerge. So if it has to regain any kind of momentum from here on, stock need to surpass 710 on a closing basis.
Okay, by the way, I stand corrected, as the market as well has come under a bit of selling pressure. The FMCG names as well have come off quite a bit from the day's high, including Godrej Consumer. It was trading at 702, now it's at 685. Okay, and meantime, Soumya, what's the latest on a Punjab and Sindh bank?
Well, massive crack seeing in this one on back of rating revisions. CARE has actually revised the rating outlook on approximately 2,500 of facilities of this bank from stable to negative. Well, let me tell you, all these rating revisions and downgrades definitely do not bode well for the companies, given this impacts their fundraising abilities also. In fact, Punjab and Sindh Bank recently were in news for their fundraising plans of approximately 500 crores via QIP. So definitely not a good development as far as Punjab and Sindh Bank is concerned. They've seen massive pressure of over 6% today.
Okay, so that's Punjab and Sindh more than 6% gone today in trade. Okay, Varun, SL Propack, what have you observed on what the stock has done recently?
Yep, so we're flagging this off because it's firstly an interesting smaller stock that's done really well. So it's a name from the broader markets which have just been bleeding. This stock, if you look at the price, was around 80 rupees a year ago at the time where a takeover was being mulled. Blackstone eventually bought the business. Now, if you look at what's happened post the acquisition, when a PE player usually acquires a company, there's a lot of operating leverage that comes in. That seems to be trickling into the counter now. You're seeing improving metrics on the revenue and profitability front. Also, if you just look at the gains in the last 3 months, it's been 50% plus. And again, it's one of those stocks which from the broader markets at a time like this is heading toward its lifetime high or a 52-week high. They make pretty much tubes and piping for all the toothpaste companies worldwide, and they have a few other polymer products. So it's an interesting company, and now it's got solid parentage as well. And again, nearing a high, so we're flagging it off today.
Now, 184 is where SL Propack is currently trading. And Samit, one PSU where we've been seeing a lot of volatility, but I think I would say that for all PSUs. BEML, today it's higher by 1.6%. Anything that you would like to recommend here?
See, clearly this has been one of the outperforming stocks within the PSU space since last 3 months. If you see, the stock was languishing somewhere around 700 3-4 months back, and now it is back to $1,000. Yes, although the stock has been consolidating of late, the overall structure still remains quite sturdy, and at lower levels we are likely to see strong buying emerging in this particular counter. So if I have to see any particular support level, 940, 930 seems to be a very strong support zone. On the higher side, 1040, 1050, these are the levels to watch out for. Once this stock surpasses 1050, it could unfold next leg of the rally, and in that case the stock can easily head towards 1100 or 1150 kind of zone.
Okay, thanks for that, Samit. With that, we're out of time on Market Fatafat. So Varun, Soumya, Samit, thank you for joining in to take forward all the market action. Is Markets at Noon. Stay tuned for that.